Well, good morning. It's November the 10th, 2025, and straight from the highly caffeinated studio, this is According to Willie B, and I am your host for the next half hour. So today is part 6 of the 10-part series of the Great BFF Trip, and today we are going to talk about New Hampshire, specifically Mount Washington, which is, by the way, part of the White Mountains, and it is also the highest peak in the Northeast, and it reaches a grand total of 6,288 feet. I don't know who had the job of measuring that. I kind of maybe wondered if there was like multiple people that were measuring it when they had these little massive measuring tapes, and one person says they got 6,287, one's got two, and maybe they did an average. I don't know. I'm sure that there are people who are mountain measurers. Okay, so that's probably a title for somebody somewhere. But nevertheless, that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about Mount Washington. Now, the one thing that I want to tell you about Mount Washington is, number one, plan your trip when you go there. Because if you think you're going to go, let's go up to the top of the mountain at Christmas, there's a good chance you may not make it up there. It is November the 10th, and they are already getting tons of snow. So, yeah, and I don't think they go to the summit past a certain month. I think it was last month was the last month that they would go to the summit, because the weather up there is insanely unpredictable. Now, this is according to the people that have the private road that goes to the top of Mount Washington. And on their website, it says that it can be unpredictable, extreme, and erratic. Well, that sounds like our average Monday, does it not? So, but the day that we went was really cool because the people in the gift shop at the top were talking about how clear it was that day, that they had not seen weather that clear, and they could not remember when. And that was really cool that we got to be there on a day when it was so clear, because when it is that clear, you can see up to 5 states and Canada. So you can see New Hampshire, New York, Maine, Vermont, Massachusetts. I mean, you can see a long way. I'll tell you how clear it was. It was so clear. And you're thinking, okay, Will, how clear was it? It was so clear that I could see my future bad decisions. So now that I've had a glimpse into that, now maybe I can avoid doing those. I'm just kidding. But it was really clear, just super blue skies. Later today, I'm going to be doing a massive video dump onto the Instagram page so that you guys can see some of this, because it's absolutely insane and it's absolutely beautiful. So when you get there, how do you get up to the top of the mountain? You have multiple ways to get up there, and I'm going to run those by you and give you some prices, and that way you can make up your mind if you decide to go check out Mount Washington. At the top of Mount Washington, there is a 59-acre park, actually a state park. It's got a gift shop. Now, the gift shop should stay in the location where it is at the top, at the summit. And the reason I say that is because it's got these 3 massive chains that are bolted to the ground and go over the roof to the other side and bolted to the ground on the other side. And it kind of made me think, well, I guess they did that because with the unpredictable weather that they have, they could have lost their gift shop multiple times. I could just see future brochures. Where's your gift shop? Well, it used to be at the summit, but now it's down here at the bottom, or now it was at the bottom and now it's back up at the top. Because they record wind speeds well over 100 miles an hour up there. But they say the weather can change literally in minutes. because you're so high up there. Isn't that crazy? Imagine just going from a nice, peaceful, beautiful day to all of a sudden you're in this erratic storm. It's just crazy, but it was absolutely beautiful the day we were there. We could not have ordered and paid for better weather than what we had up there. It was a little bit chilly, but I mean, to be that high up, it's to be expected. But just the clear blue skies was just unreal. And you could just, there was no haze, there was nothing. You could just see so far away. It was unreal. I don't think I've ever seen distance, been able to see that far in the distance anywhere. And I've been on a lot of different mountains. Oh, and just a few days prior, we were in New York on the Empire State Building. And I thought that we could see a long distance up there. It was nothing compared to being up there on Mount Washington. So if you are ever in that area, definitely check it out. Here's another reason. We talk about travel. Well, we also talk about tourist attractions, right? So this is the oldest man-made attraction in the U.S., not the mountain, the road, which is what I'm going to be telling you about. So the Auto Road is what they call it, and it opened in August the 8th, 1861, and it's been privately owned. That's just insane. Now, I will tell you, your 3 ways to get up to the top of the mountain or the summit. 1, they have hiking trails, and they will specifically tell you, hey, you're welcome to use any of the hiking trails, but it is really more meant for experienced climbers. I didn't need to hear that. All I had to hear was 6,288 feet. You've already convinced me I'm not hiking it. But they also have what they call the COG Railway, COG, COG Railway, and it is the only rack and pinion railway in, I believe it's in the world, but I know for a fact in the U.S., and that's crazy. And to give you an idea what it looks like, and like I said, I'll post the pictures later today. But if you've ever seen the cartoon Thomas the Tank Engine, that's what it looks like. It looks like this little train, and it's blue, and it looked exactly like Thomas the Tank or Thomas the Train, and pushing up this rail car, and that's where you ride in, and it's just insane. But it was really cool. I think it's about an hour-long train ride. Now, the train ride, the average price is $71 a person. That's right, 71. Children are 61. So there's a little bit of a discount there, and there's different packages that they offer. Like if you want the engineer view, if you want different things like that cost more. But the average ticket price to go on the COG Railway to get to the summit is $71 per person. Now, the Auto Road, they charge $36 per person. It is not per car. So just be aware. If you pull up there thinking, oh, we've got 8 people in our car and we're going to pay one price, that is not the way they do it. It is charged per person. And there's a difference for adults and children. It's $36 per person to ride and to drive your car up this private road, which is blacktop most of the way. There's part of the way it's gravel. And then it's $15 a child. So there is that. But it's also if you are scared of heights, most people wouldn't have a problem being at the top of the mountain because, like I said, it's a 59-acre state park. So it's not like you're standing up on a point on a mountain. You actually have a lot of area to walk around. But understand that driving that road or even riding in a car that's going up that road, it is on the average slope on this road is a 12% grade. Yes. And I don't remember if there was any guardrail at all. I just know every time I looked, there was not any guardrail. It was, you wanted to take the fast way down, it was right there at the edge of the road. So it was a little bit unnerving. I'm not going to lie. It was a white knuckle ride all the way to the top. But Danny drove it up and down, and I was very, very thankful. Not that I couldn't have done it, but I was glad that he volunteered. So yeah, that was a scary ride up there, but it was absolutely breathtaking. The views going up. Oh, and then don't forget, the other thing you have to watch out for, because you were up in the Northeast, that great big animal you have to watch out for. That's right, a moose. Now, we did have some discussions about that. And I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, I know the difference between that. If there's one moose, it's called a moose. And if there's two moose, then it's still called moose. But I played along and told Danny that no, if it's one, it's a moose. And if there's more than one, it's meese. Because it's the same thing for a goose. I mean, why does that not make sense? If you have one goose, it's a goose. If you have multiple goose, it's a geese. So those are geese. So if it's a moose, why is it a meese? And I know that it's not a flock of meese. It would be a herd of meese, I would think. I don't know. That's why I live in the South. I don't have to worry about whether it's a flock, a gander, a goose, a moose, or a meese. I don't have to worry about any of that. I'm well familiar and well versed on all the animals in the South. But it was interesting to learn the different lingo of the different animals up there. So you do have to watch out for moose. They are an incredibly large animal. And if you're driving anything less than a tank, that animal can do some serious damage to your car. So keep it between the white lines and watch out for the moose. That became our main thing, is we had to watch out for the moose. And it really didn't bother us during the daytime, but like at nighttime, that was a little bit scary because, here in the South, we have white-tailed deer that cars plow over all the time. I mean, it's not uncommon in the South, especially if you get into the areas like East Texas and different areas and there's areas in Virginia where they have a lot of deer, some areas in North Carolina where they have a lot of deer, same thing. And they just fly out of nowhere. It's like they jump out of the trees and then they will totally mess up your car. Well, if you think that white-tailed deer will do some damage to your car, think about what a moose would do. Or maybe if it's more than one moose, we could tell the insurance company you were hit by some meese. Your choice. You can tell them whatever you want to. So back to the summit of Mount Washington. We're getting off on the rabbit trail here. And yes, I said we. Y'all are listening, so I'm tagging you along. So up on this top of this, they have it's well famous for this observatory that they have up there. Because, I mean, let's face it, where else are you going to get better weather measurements than at 6,288 feet? So it was really cool to see the observatory. There's a museum. There's actually a gift shop at the top and the bottom. I just thought it was really interesting to go into this gift shop at the top of this mountain, and it's strapped down with these massive chains. As far as mobility issues, I always try to bring this up because if someone, I never want to tell someone to go check something out, and if they have mobility issues, they get there and it's inaccessible. Now, I believe they have an area where if you are in a mobility scooter or something of that nature, they do have a way to get you up to the summit. However, if you're not have mobility issues, when you get to the top, you're not quite there yet because there is an incredible stack of stairs waiting for you to climb to get on up to the summit. So there, it does take a little bit of physical exertion. And the other thing is, remember, you're at 6,288 feet. The air is just a little bit thinner up there, so it does kind of take your breath away. If you're not 100% healthy, it can take your breath away, and it gets a little harder to breathe up there. So just be aware of those things. Like I said, if you're fit as a fiddle and you want to hike up that mountain, all 6,288 feet, well, they got hiking trails for you, but I know as long as it took us to drive up that steep grade road, I just don't see me doing the hiking. Even if I was 20 years old in my prime, I just don't think that's why they made a car. And speaking of making a car, can you imagine this thing opened in 1861? Can you imagine the equipment that they had? And they talk about that. As you're driving up the auto road, you can tune your radio, and there's a station that talks about the different points as you're going up the steep grade and as you're coming down, because you go through not one, not two, not three, but 4 different ecological zones going up that road. It's 7.6 miles long. Now you think, okay, well, 7.5 miles, that's not bad. Well, just understand that, your top speed is going to be about probably 15 miles an hour tops, if I remember correctly. And like I said, it is so steep. It can take a toll on your car. Speaking of car, when you get back to the bottom, they give you a bumper sticker that says, "This car made it up to the top of Mount Washington." Well, considering that we had a rental car from National Rental, I don't think that they would have appreciated having that bumper sticker, so we just held on to it. Maybe I'll put it on my suitcase. Anyways, but is it worth doing if you're up in the Northeast? Is it worth spending the $36 per person to drive up that road and check it out? 100%. Probably one of the coolest things that we did on the trip was go to the top of Mount Washington. And, when it was suggested when we were planning the trip, I'm like, okay, so we're going up a mountain. Because, I live in North Carolina now. I've got the Blue Ridge Mountains. I've lived in Tennessee. We had the mountains there. I've seen mountains. I've been to Albuquerque, New Mexico. I've seen the mountains there. So I'm thinking, hey, this is just another mountain. But it really wasn't, because of its unique structure of the weather being so unpredictable, how far you can see. Let me tell you, this whole state park surrounding the Mount Washington, it stands a test of its own. It is definitely something that I would drive out of my way to go see and do. If I went back, which I would like to go back, because I would like to do the Cog Railway, just for the experience. I was standing at the top up there watching that train come up the mountain, and I thought, man, that is really cool. And so I would definitely like to go back and check out the Cog Railway. So I can promise you I won't make a third trip to do the hike. So I'm just letting you know. I've done the auto road, and now I'd like to go back and do the Cog Railway. But absolutely super cool. It's definitely something that you should put on your bucket list to go do. There's other things in the area, not really in the immediate area, but there are some other things in the area. And you're not that far from Portland, which we're going to talk about next week. But yeah, it's Mount Washington was so cool. I was so glad that that Kelly has suggested adding that to our itinerary. So I'm thinking, okay, it's a mountain. Okay, well, it's got an observatory. I'm like, okay, well, there's something special about the observatory, but it was really the whole thing between the cog railway, the private road taking you to the top of the mountain. Just it was a whole kit and caboodle experience, and I promise you, this is something you need to put on your bucket list to go see and do. I trust me, I would not steer you wrong. But I hope if you do go and check it out that you get the same kind of clear weather that we had, because it was absolutely amazing. And it was really just interesting to hear how many people were talking about, man, we have never had weather this clear up here. And I thought, wow, we really were blessed to get up there and have this phenomenal weather to be able to see that. And for the one time that we get to go see it. Now, the next time we go visit it to go on the cog railway, we may not have that perfect weather, but I have a feeling it would still be just as awesome as it was on this one. But yeah, it's definitely the auto road and the cog railway. That is the oldest attraction in the United States, and it opened in August the 8th, 1861. That is crazy. Like I said, don't forget to check out their visitor center, their museum, their gift shop. Super nice people, even the people up at the top in the gift shop, which was, by the way, absolutely packed. So my suggestion to you is, because they have a gift shop at the bottom of the mountain, I would suggest, if that one is packed the day you go, maybe go to the one at the bottom of the mountain, because it's going to be the same merchandise, but at least you have an opportunity to go in the gift shop, because the one up top is not super large, and you'll see that in the pictures later today. But it can get packed really quick, and you'd have to go outside to change your mind. Trust me. I mean, it was elbow to elbow. But again, next week we are going to talk about Portland. I'm excited about talking about Portland, Maine. It was one of my favorite stops on the trip. And then we'll have a couple days to talk about Boston, and then we'll wrap it up on the 10th episode, and we'll talk about numbers for the trip, on what different costs were and how many miles it was, all kind of fun facts about the trip. It was absolutely insane, but Mount Washington was absolutely one of my favorites. And we absolutely had a blast. But until I see you again next week, do not, and I cannot stress this enough, do not forget to caffeinate and conquer. And I was thinking about that phrase the other day after I signed off, and I thought, if someone was to were to ask me, why is it so important to caffeinate and conquer? Now, for one, as a coffee junkie, can tell you that question is rhetorical to me. But for those who are not a coffee junkie, there wouldn't be a highly caffeinated studio, which I am sitting in. And two, it's just how you get through the day. But that's just me. But it is absolutely imperative that you caffeinate and conquer and have a great day. And don't forget to take the travel. There was someone asked me the other day, hey, Will, why is it so important to go travel? And I said, look, our lives every day are built on paychecks, paycheck to paycheck to paycheck to paycheck. So somewhere along the line, you have got to take a moment and make a moment and explore this great big globe that we're sitting on, because I promise you there is so much out there to see and do right at your fingertips. You don't have to travel across the globe. There is so much out there that you need to go see and do, just like the Mount Washington, just like Niagara Falls. There are so many awe-inspiring things to go see. So get out there and see it. And you can check it all out on our website. Don't forget to look at www.accordingtowillieb.com. We got our merch on there. There's more merch coming up very quickly. And I will see you again right here next week. And I appreciate each and every one of you. Have a great day. Bye-bye.